These are people coming across the border, knowing exactly where to go for Border Patrol to pick them up. And they sit there, peaceful, calm, cell phones, candy, snacks, chilling, waiting for Border Patrol to pick them up because they know that Border Patrol will come, load them in the vans, they'll go to the processing center, and they'll walk out with that white piece of paper says that they've claimed asylum, and they are no longer undocumented. They are now documented, and they get a plane ticket to go anywhere in the country where they want to go. We have no idea how many people, you know, the question cited a couple 100,000. We don't have any idea how many people have streamed through our borders illegally who pose that direct threat to us here on our own soil. I would encourage, should President Trump get elected, and I would encourage President Biden today, hey, if you're really serious about securing our border, which we know he's not, federalize and mobilize the National Guard. Help. I was in the National Guard for a lot of years. Our job is to support the homeland, whether it's during times of national disaster or crises or emergency. I would say this is a very serious national crisis. And the president has the authority to federalize the National Guard, to deploy them to go and actually help secure our border. I was in Southern California, San Diego, and spent a couple days down at the border there just to see for myself. A lot of people talk about Texas and Arizona. Very few people are paying attention to what's going on in San Diego. And went down there. What I saw was astounding to me because within a few minutes, we came upon these like little camps almost of illegal immigrants. More and more people walking up just as I was there. This idea of the gotaways. You hear about the gotaways on the news all the time. Well, how many gotaways are there? These are people coming across the border, knowing exactly where to go for Border Patrol to pick them up. And they sit there, peaceful, calm, cell phones, candy, snacks, chilling, waiting for Border Patrol to pick them up because they know that Border Patrol will come, load them in the vans, they'll go to the processing center, and they'll walk out with that white piece of paper says that they've claimed asylum, and they are no longer undocumented. They are now documented, and they get a plane ticket to go anywhere in the country where they want to go. And I talked to a number of people there who'd come from all different countries, none of them from Mexico, by the way. Mexico is the only country apparently where Border Patrol sends them immediately back across the border. You come from any other country, they go through this process that I just talked about. Talked to this one guy who came from Colombia, and he said, "Oh, I flew into Tijuana and then walked across. Took me, I don't know, a couple hours." And I asked him, like, "Have you been here before?" "Oh yeah, I've been here before." Interesting. He had no issue talking, by the way. He was very relaxed. And I said, "Oh, where are you headed?" So I'm going to Utah. I said, "Really? What's in Utah?" He's like, "Oh, I got a woman there." And there were different stories from different people I talked to from Brazil. There were people from Venezuela, people who were very clearly tatted up gang members from Venezuela. One guy super, super high on drugs. All of these people just waiting, Border Patrol to pick them up and essentially be this like Uber drivers to take them from illegally crossing the border, process them through. We followed the process through to the train station, to the airport. The whole thing. And then I talked to a guy who lived in that area for decades. And he said, "God, I really wish Texas would send their National Guard to help us out here." I said, "What about California? You got your own National Guard here." And he just shook his head and he's like, "Gavin Newsom will never send our National Guard to actually defend our borders." The solutions are there. It takes leadership that really cares about solving this problem with the sense of urgency that it requires to do so.
Do you think that why are they so for the open border? Is it really for the vote? Is it so that they can, we've seen the massive migration of people out of California.
Yeah.
Tennessee, a lot of the neighborhoods here are 60% California now.
Wow. 60%.
It's finding a original Tennessean is like trying to find a needle in a haystack anymore.
Wow.
They all got pushed out, and I hate to say it, but every state I visit complains about the same people.
Yeah.
And it's always California,
Yeah.
Montana,
I was just
Utah,
gonna say that.
Texas,
Yep.
Florida, Tennessee,
Yeah.
Nevada, Arizona, I'm like, how many of these fucking people are there?
There's a lot.
Like, who's left?
What is there about, I don't know, like 40 million people live in California?
Wow. Like everywhere
Yeah.
is complaining about them.
Yeah.
And so is the left, is it, I don't believe anything I hear anymore.
Yeah.
On the news, on most podcasts. I have a very select group of people that have a level head with more insight than I do that I call to give me a sanity check. But is this why they want the border wide open and they're not addressing it? They don't want California and New York and Illinois and all these states where everybody's migrating out of. They don't want to. Is it that they don't want to lose the electoral vote?
That's certainly a big role, for
It
sure.
is.
And they'll never admit it. Of course, maybe some of them would, but I've never heard anyone admit that. But when you start adding like 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, you have open borders. You have this massive opposition to requiring voter ID, and most recently, massive opposition from the Democrats to the legislation the Republicans just passed requiring proof of citizenship to vote. Massive, like vocal, passionate opposition coming from Democrats in the House. We'll see if the Senate takes it up. Apparently, they just want there to be an honor system, and then you actually have some cities and counties already opening up voting for those positions to people who are not citizens, who are illegal immigrants. There was a congresswoman out of New York named Yvette Clarke who she wasn't caught on camera. She was doing an interview and she was just like, "Hey, bring them over here. I need more people in my district. We got space because we need to keep my district," referring to the redistricting. And so I think that's certainly a huge part of it. There are those who believe truly in open borders from a philosophical standpoint. They believe that the United States of America, I'm talking about the AOCs of the world, and there are others like her, they believe that we in the United States should welcome anyone from anywhere who is seeking a better life in America. And therefore, they don't believe in borders. You go back to, and there are actually, even though they may not say, well, I believe that there should be no borders in the world and kind of a one world philosophy, I go back to the 2020 Democratic primary, where the vast majority of Democrats who are running for president in 2020 believed that crossing the border should result in a civil fine that would equate getting a parking ticket. That's an open border.
Yeah.
That's an open border. And then the last thought on this is that they have, ever since Trump ran for president in 2016, painted him and anyone else who called for securing our borders and an end to illegal immigration, xenophobes and racists, and people, you hate brown people if you are against illegal immigration. So it makes it hard for them now to say, okay, well, this is way over the top. We have to secure our borders. We have to stop illegal immigration. Well, okay, so are you now racist? Also, Do you also hate brown people now? Because that's the situation that they've created. And then even most recently, you saw with J.D. Vance's wife speaking, on the stage at the Republican convention, and the headlines that came out of that is she's talking about her immigrant parents who came from India. She grew up in San Diego and all of this, and how grateful she is for the life that they were able to provide and so on. The headlines were essentially, gosh, isn't she such a hypocrite, where she's speaking at a convention where they are calling for the deportation of illegal immigrants as she is telling the story of her immigrant family, which again just begs the question, like, do they just not understand the difference between legal and illegal immigration, the rule of law? And I refuse to believe that they are that stupid. So it really points to that bigger question, like, okay, well, why is it that they're creating this narrative that anybody who supports secure borders is a racist who hates brown people?
Has there ever been a discussion of let's just fix the actual immigration policy instead of just opening the borders? Why is the? I mean, it just seems to me there's no common sense within government anymore, and so. I mean, there's a lot of good people coming in here, and there's a lot of bad people coming in here, and and I think we could always use more good people in this country.
Yeah.
And so, why hasn't that discussion? Maybe it has been had, but why? To my knowledge, it's never been had.
There have been different serious efforts at fixing because our legal immigration system is very, very broken. I have a friend who I don't know how long he's been in the Army. He's a Green Beret warrant officer, I think 32, 33 years of service. He is retiring. His wife's family or her sister lives in Italy, I believe. Married, kids in school, they have a home, jobs, etc., an established life. They applied for tourist visas to come and attend his retirement ceremony and were denied. They wanted to come for 2 weeks to the United States to attend this significant life event of their loved one, and they were denied. Oh, well, we don't have proof of whatever. I don't even know what the reason was. But there's so many different examples of how broken our legal immigration system is. There have been a few serious efforts over the years toward actually solving it. Ultimately, they have. I think the hyper partisanship often has been what tanked it. Where, in order to pass legislation like that, you're going to have a give and take from both parties who have very different views on what that solution should look like.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.